evening. It's so good to see everyone. Thank you all for coming out. We are going to make today short but very, very informative. So we're so happy to see you all. My name is Miss Kelly White, and I am the school counselor here at Ivy Preparatory Academy. And we are going to really be getting into the nitty-gritty of our state test, the Georgia Milestones. So go ahead and make sure that you have signed in at the front. During that sign-in sheet, we asked a few questions because we really want to gain as much feedback on what you all need to feel prepared for the Georgia Milestones. As you notice, we're starting pretty early. It's January, so we're starting pretty early, but we want to make sure that we are proactive this year and making sure that you feel comfortable, but not only do you feel comfortable, your scholar feels comfortable. So we're really excited that you came out tonight, and we really want to make sure that tonight is very informative, but also very helpful for you and your scholar. So, if you've got a question, we've got an answer. And we want to make sure that we are answering every single question that you may have. So if you go ahead and get those phones out and hover over this QR code, we do have two Academy leaders that are going to be here answering any questions that you may have. If the question is for the greater good, then what we will do is we will stop the presentation for just a little bit and answer those questions. We want you to really dig deep. Ask any question that you may have in regards to the Georgia milestone. So, starting off, what is the purpose of the Georgia milestones? So, the Georgia milestones is an assessment that is comprehensive. So at the beginning of each school year, our scholars in every single grade have a battery of standards in which they are charged with mastering for that year. So if you remember when they were in kindergarten, they may have had a smaller amount of standards and they may have learned to add, and then the next year they may have learned to add double digits, and the next year triple digits, and the next year they're adding with variables, so it compounds on each other. Each year after third grade through high school, they are actually assessed, and we want to make sure they're mastering those standards. That's how we know that our scholars are doing and moving to the next level. So the comprehensive exam is for 3rd through 12th grade. Here at Ivy, we know we'll only have 3rd through 8th, so we are going to be giving those in ELA, math, science, and in social studies. The Georgia Milestones was developed by the state of Georgia. So what's really great about it is it's tailored just for our scholars. So when they're taking the Georgia Milestones, it's looking like the textbooks that they've seen. You're seeing the same wording. So it's not just a regular test. It's a test that's made by our state. Content areas. So scholars in grades 3 through 8 will be assessed in our ELA as well as math. Scholars in grades 5 and 8 will also be assessed in science and social studies. Now, we get the question a lot, so if my baby's in 3rd grade, does that mean that they don't have to come? Please, no, they do need to come. We need our scholars here the entire week. So please, please, please make sure the scholars are here. The reason being is, again, although the milestones is the state comprehensive assessment, we want to make sure that they're still mastering those standards. What that means is we will be having a mock milestones, we call it like our Ivy milestone, and we want to see have they mastered those standards. Now, these results aren't for the state, these results are for in-house, but it helps us get better. What do we as educators here at Ivy need to do to ensure that our scholars are prepared for the next year? So again, 3 through 8, as you see, it is an end of grade. You will see EOG a lot. EOG means end of grade, EOC means end of course. You will see EOC a lot more for high school. So EOG, end of grade, EOC, end of course. Are there any questions? All right, any good questions? All right. So the next is our achievement levels. This is the best part. So achievement levels is what are their scores. So achievement levels come in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're weighted. And really what they do is they drive our conversation. If in the event we have to have retention meetings, what we do is we use these scores as a point of conversation. We use them to kind of drive us. What more does the scholar need if they scored a 1? What more does the scholar need if they scored a 2? What more does what more do they need if it's a 3 or a 4? So that's how it drives our conversation in regards to that. Digging a little bit deeper. A 1, these are our beginning learners. So I always like to explain to parents that the test is just like any other test that we've all taken in our years of testing, and they may ask, what color is the sky? Then 5 questions later, they may say, the sky is what color? And then 5 questions later, they may say, when you look into the sky, what color is the sky? And so what happens is they're trying to see, does the scholar really know the answer to this question? If the scholar does not answer at all, but maybe says teal, this would be like that beginner learner. So you can tell that they may know that it's blue, but they don't know it very well. So these are our beginning learners. They don't demonstrate proficiency at all. Then we move to our developing learners. That's level 2. Now these scholars, back to our example, these scholars may say one time that the sky is blue. So it's kind of like, okay, well, they may know a little bit. We're feeling pretty good, but they're not demonstrating a lot of proficiency with this. What we call that is partial proficiency. And those are our developing learners. Now we have our proficient learners. This is level 3. Our proficient learners are actually going to be our scholars who at least 2 or 3 times are going to tell us the sky is blue. So we're like, okay, yeah, they're demonstrating proficiency in this. They know that. That's what we call our sweet spot. That's where we want our scholars. We want them at that proficient level 3. But we really want them reaching for that level 4. And that level 4 is when they're going to take that answer and kind of use those higher order thinking skills, that depth of knowledge of when they're really telling us in a full sentence, really deeply. When I look into the sky, I notice that the sky is blue. There are dark blues and light blues and clouds that are white. So they're really expanding on this answer. This right here is where they are demonstrating the utmost proficiency, and it's advanced. So that right there that's distinguished. And although we want them at a 3 and we really want them at a 4. So that's where we want our scholars, and those are the achievement levels. I charge you to look and find more information in regards to the achievement levels because they're really, really interesting and they really guide where we want our scholars. Before I move on to kind of talk a little bit more, I kind of want some feedback in regards to the achievement levels. Feedback or questions in regards to those. Excellent, thank you. Excellent. All right, testing format. So the Georgia Milestone is going to be 100% computer-based. Everybody in our entire school is going to take the Georgia Milestones on the computer. This is fantastic and we're really excited, and it's really important to go ahead and get your scholar practicing typing. Every scholar will get a blank sheet of scrap paper to brainstorm their writing. But there's nothing like having that experience, and there's nothing like practicing that typing. So please, please, please make sure that scholars are practicing typing on their own. Maybe take 10-15 minutes a day and just do some typing practice. If scholars have any accommodations, these will also be given on the computer. I will work with Ms. Harris-Harvey, who does SWD, and we will sit down and identify any accommodations that scholars may have. We'll input them into the computer, and when scholars get their testing ticket on the day of testing, their testing ticket will let the computer know that they get an accommodation. Let's say they need repetition of directions. When they put their headphones on, they'll get repetition of directions. So everything is going to be computer-based that day. Getting your scholar on the platform we'll talk is going to be pivotal. So testing formats, 100% computer-based. Now it's time for retention grades. Retention grades are grades 3, 5, and 8. Now they can pass the milestones only with scores of 3 or 4. Only with scores of 3 or 4. But there are some scholars that can pass with a 2. Now how, you ask? It's because of their Lexile level. Go ahead and write that word down, Lexile level. It shouldn't be a new one, but Lexile level. And that is their reading level. So as scholars are going through and they're taking this test, it's also calculating their reading level. So for instance, if they have a low score, low achievement level, which they get a 2, but they have a high reading score, there are certain instances that we've seen as we've been analyzing the data where the state will identify them as passing. Not every time does this happen. So as we have some of those conversations that I said achievement levels bring up, those are some of the conversations that we have. So achievement levels 3 and 4, what was that word? Lexile level. Excellent. Good job. So Lexile level is the word. So for that 2, Lexile level is the word. What will happen if the scholars do not pass is that they will be taking the retest in the summer. Once they take the retest, if they still do not get a 3 or a 4, scholars will then have retention meetings. Only in grades 3, 5, and 8, they will have retention meetings. When scholars have those retention meetings with academy leaders and their teachers, this is when we have those conversations about retaining the scholar. In regards to retention meetings, we follow state mandated laws that say no 3rd grade student, no 5th grade student, or no 8th grade student shall be promoted to their rising grade if they do not achieve grade level on the state adopted assessment. So it is very imperative, and that's why we're starting now, that we are preparing our scholars for the Georgia milestones, as we do not want to have any of these promotion and retention meetings. As we move on in our presentation, do we have any feedback or any questions? All right, so I'm hearing that we do have one question in regards to retention. Yes, great question. If they've already been retained. Fantastic. If they've already been retained, that's whenever we have some of those conversations in regards to their achievement level. And I'd like to go a little bit more in depth with you. For the sake of time, definitely send me an email and we can go a little bit more in depth with that. Thank you. And I do want to say each individual situation may be a little bit different, but I definitely would like to go. Yes, thank you so much for asking that question. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, fantastic. So as we end our presentation, please make sure that you are writing down those important dates. We know that the Georgia milestone is going to be May 4th through the 8th. Please make sure all scholars are present and accounted for. The time is, what was it? 7:30. We want our scholars here right on time. We do know that there are some ways that we can help our scholars. Go ahead and get them on computers and typing. Go ahead and get on the Georgia Department of Education website, making sure that we are getting out that study guide and practicing. Those are going to be very pivotal and ensure that our scholars are prepared and we're not having those retention meetings. As we close out, I want to kind of do a little temperature check, how we're feeling. All right, looks good, looks good. I also want to make sure that this is exactly what you wanted. So thank you again for attending, and your feedback is very important to us. We want to make sure that you're getting all the information that you need. So please, here's another QR code. Take those phones out. Take a moment to fill out the survey below. I also made sure that I put my information down. My name again is Ms. White. I am the testing coordinator. My email address, kwhite@ivyprepacademy.org, and you can contact me at 404-622-2727. Again, that's 404-622-2727. I'll make sure to leave this slide up, and if you have any questions, I'll be kind of mingling around, so don't hesitate to come up, and ask me any questions that you may not have gotten to ask during the presentation. Again, thank you so much, and you have a fantastic evening.